So today we are going to start talking about why you are here. What reasons are there for actually looking for a role right now? And sometimes if we can start to explore those different reasons, then actually it can give us those insights into thinking about where we're going to be. One of the things that changed things for me was when I was working in a location that was actually 90 minutes drive away from my home. And this is when my son was quite young. And I remember a really key moment for me, which was when I got a phone call to say that he had potentially got meningitis. And I was being asked to come straight away and take him to hospital. Luckily, my husband was around, and so he actually got him to the hospital, and it wasn't meningitis. It was all fine in the end. But of course, as I was driving home with that 90-minute long route home, it just seemed like an endless journey to me. So I made a vow right there and then that I wasn't going to be in that position, even though that particular time, that role had offered me a promotion to a senior manager, more money. I decided that it wasn't worth it. And I then made the priority of my search all about location. So that for me was a key driver. And it was really important to recognize that that was what I was looking for in the next role. I wasn't looking for more money. I wasn't looking for promotion. Everything really boiled down to the location. And maybe there's something like that for you that is driving your search. And that if you can really recognize what that is, whether it is location or money or health or child-friendly policies, or whatever it is, and we're going to explore some of those in this section, it can really help you focus on the types of company you want to work for, the location, the type of culture that you're looking for. So we're going to cover that in this section as we go forward. Now, one of the first things that we can have a think about, and I want to explore, is actually all about hybrid working. And because of the pandemic, before the pandemic, we were pretty much all expected to be in an office or on site most of the time. And actually, then we ended up with the pandemic. And it changed all that. And overnight, we all had to pick up our laptops and pick up all of our stuff and try and find a corner in our house that we could actually work from home. And then we got kind of used to the fact that we were all going to be at home. And some of us absolutely hated it. Some of us loved it. And some of us realized that actually we could get as much work done at home as we could in the office. And for others, we found that we were feeling lonely, isolated, and it didn't work for us. And now what's happening with this kind of post-pandemic new normal, whatever, new equilibrium, whatever phrase you want to call it, businesses are now expecting different things. Some businesses are really trying to drive people to come into the office. Some people are closing their offices and saying that actually we only employ home workers and it doesn't matter where in the country you are. And some people have got that kind of mix and are being a bit more flexible. So actually hybrid working can now be a factor that means that you either don't like where you currently are, and that could be multiple reasons. If you are somebody who loves being in an office and your organization has just said we're closing our office and everything's home working, you are probably likely to be looking to go elsewhere. Equally, if someone is saying you absolutely have to be in the office 5 days a week, then that might be something that is now going to be clashing with your requirements. So one of the things to start to consider is what it is you actually want. And I've got some questions here that you can start to think about in terms of what you want about hybrid working and flexibility. Now, some of these questions we'll go through. Take a little bit of time. I'm going to run through them here quite quickly, but if you want to pause the video and just work through these questions in your own time, then that is absolutely fine. In fact, I'd highly recommend that. So some of the questions that we can ask ourselves is, why do you want to move? And what is it about the current role that makes you want to move? If it is one of those drivers around hybrid working, I'm going to come on to flexibility and balance in a second, but make a note of that. Think about what kind of work pattern it is that you actually want. So it can really help to focus our search. If you want to do a 4-day week in the office and 1 day a week at home, then making a note of that, that's your ideal, can be very helpful, because when you look for job applications, if it says 100% home working, 100% office working, you can kind of scrub that out of your requirements list. So what kind of working pattern do you want? And why do you want it? We start to dig into the real reason why. Is it about, family? Is it about your health? Is it about the fact that you feel more productive at home? You like being able to, get up a little bit later or go to the gym before you log on at home? Do you like the fact that during a lunch break, you can go and do a few chores around the house or go for a walk in your local area? Whatever it is, really sit and think about why it is that you are interested in working in this different way. And then start to write down what you would want from an organization. Is it that you would like quite strict rules that you can only do certain things, or do you want more flexibility in terms of your arrangement and your setup? Now, let's go back to thinking about hybrid working and flexibility, because actually they've become kind of, when people talk about remote working, hybrid working, flexible working, they seem to all be a little bit merged into one. They are different. Hybrid working is this mix between the two. And it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid between working in the office and working at home. And some companies will say hybrid working and be quite flexible about it. Other companies will be saying hybrid working, but you have to be in the office Tuesdays and Thursdays, because that's when we're going to have our team stand-ups and our team collaborations. And if that works for you, that's fine. If you think, actually, I want more flexibility because I'm not sure that I want to work every Tuesday and every Thursday in the office, then actually flexibility might be something that is more important to you. Now, flexible working for me isn't just about days of the week or location. Flexibility for me in terms of a culture is about the flexibility of approach. So if you've got children and you have to do the school run and it's all a bit tight, then having a firm 9 a.m. start time might not work for you. If you are wanting to, make sure that you can log off at, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon some days to go to the gym, maybe you're training for a marathon or something like that, then you might want that flexibility. You might not want to do it every day, but you might want to be able to come and go a little bit more. You might want a place that's a little bit more about productivity than presenteeism. There are other stages in our lives where we do need more or less flexibility. And, if you've got caring responsibilities, whether that's for an elder or for a child, those phone calls that we sometimes get that says, so-and-so, a child has had an accident or something and you have to go in, or they've got a fever and you've got to go and take them home. There's a sense of flexibility where, the boss can say, yeah, that's fine, off you go. I remember working for someone who would just sort of say, yeah, just go, log on when you can, or don't worry about us, and that level of flexibility was really important to me, especially when my children were kind of under 8 or under 5 or in nursery, when they seemed to pick up every single germ going. So flexibility can be more about flexibility of approach and flexibility of mindset, and it can be about flexibility of time. So when you're thinking about what you want, is it hybrid? Is it flexible? And then you've got remote working as well. So hybrid can mean that balance between the two, but there is also, emerging this kind of idea of just remote working. So you are constantly, you never have an office space. You might be remotely working from home, but you might be in another office, or you might be in a client site. So there are different aspects to this that you might want to think about. And then for me, I've put balance in this kind of mix as well, because it's about asking yourself, what balance is it that you want in your life? It could be the balance between number of days of working from home and working in the office. It could be a balance around your start and end times. And it could be that actually it's about balance within career and life, and that health needs to take a bit more of a front seat. So let's just go back to those questions and think about, from the point of view, hybrid working, flexibility, and balance. Thinking about why you want to move. What is it about the current role that makes you want to move? What kind of blend of the working pattern do you really want? And think about what it is ideally you want. You may not get it exactly, but you're trying to now to pinpoint the reasons why you're here. Why do you want it? And think of all the reasons that that might be. And what would you want from a new organization? And then importantly, just sit with the how would it make me feel question. If you could have that better balance, that mix of flexibility and that mix of working days wherever you wanted it to be, how would it make you feel? For me, when I had the change from the location that was 90 minutes away and the location that was near, I had much more flexibility. I actually did end up with a boss who was very, very flexible, as I said, and it felt so different. I felt like I had permission to go and do certain things at certain times, and it felt like a huge weight off my shoulder. So I wonder what it would feel like for you. So have a little ponder on those questions, and let's join me in the next module where we explore some other reasons.